Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for May the 3rd. And, well, if you look at the ES here from a daily standpoint, we reached the ABM green. That was enough to provide support here as we had a continuation of the D Omega orange dropping. And even though shorts were rising, you still had the increase of short-term buyers. It was enough to lift things back up to the 38% here. And, the continued push is going to be to try and get back towards that 50%. The question will be whether or not they can sustain it with the short-term buyers going through, and we have a continuation of that orange dipping below red and green would be enough for the turnaround buy configuration. If it does happen at this particular stage, then you're looking at a situation where you have a higher DOC red pivot, and that would be a bullish configuration from there. It's just a question of can magenta stay above the yellow at that particular stage. I think we're going to end up with the same resistance levels, but you got new fund money coming in here another day. So at the beginning of next week, they should be fresh and ready with more cash. You can see the NASDAQ at the equivalent spot. So we've sort of reached that equilibrium point where the two markets are now in sync. Which is what we look for, and readings relatively identical. And that it's taken a little while for that to kind of even out after we had the bit of the dip and the return back. Overall, again, it's going to be that riding of the risks, and with the Fed declaring that they're going to soften regardless of what the situation is, you can see rates moving lower, and that staves off, crisis mode from their standpoint, theoretically. And the big deal is oil moving lower, and that is the most important element in the equation at this particular stage, because reducing the energy prices certainly is going to ease things from an economic standpoint. It's going to reduce the rate of inflation. It's still some of that's going to be baked in from the previous rise. So the latest CPI that's going to come in will be trailing, of course, but it's going to reflect a higher number. That's a bonus for the euro because they see the U.S. is dedicated to easing, and that's enough to stave off that collapse. So all things are working in the favor of the market at this particular stage, globally at least, to continue to push, despite the fact the long-term implications of it could be quite negative. Gold didn't do a whole lot within that range, but you can still expect that it's going to continue its push as soon as it's evened out some of the gains that it's made. And then from a crypto standpoint, we had a little bit of support within that setup as well. Outflows from ETFs were pretty amazing on Bitcoin, and there's still the unbalanced situation of whether ETH is going to get the same treatment, which has suffered a much deeper decline within that, and filled out quite a few more positive extremes than Bitcoin had. From a 5K standpoint, we ended up with the softness. We hit the 50, came back down, retested that bottom, which fulfilled the, dip below the red line, from the previous dips that we had already had here. So that was all pretty congruent with white NBI leading. So no shock with that. And then once magenta took over and we were above the 23%, that left it to just continue its momentum rise, and still looking in pretty decent shape here with relative calmness from short side NBI white. When we look at it intraday, there was the nice peak before the market opened, and then just sort of fell off, cleared out all the stops, got all the weakness, took out all the call action that was going in there with the gamma, and then shot back up for the rest of the day from there. And it's continued that move in the post market. Pretty clean action so far overall, and relatively positive from that standpoint. Probably going to see some more action. Obviously, there'll be weekly option expirations in that, so you'll get some back and forth within that, and sort of typical activity. But I think that everyone will be looking for the beginning of the week to move towards the bullish side, barring any unknowns that haven't developed yet. So we just continue to follow the readings, and we'll see it clearly as it happens, and before most do. So we'll just keep going with what it is. As always, though, anything relevant, I'll put it in the Skype chat. Have a good one. Trade well.